Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept. We're here with episode 2633 of the show. You can follow along with today's questions at stephencabral.com/2633. Excited to be able to answer your questions. You know, hopefully by now, every single weekend, we're answering about a dozen questions per week on all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging. Of course, we're not providing any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical diagnosis, or medical cures. That would be illegal, and we would never do that. But what we do is share with you the underlying root causes as to why you may be dealing with these issues in the first place. And to me, that's even better, because if you fix the underlying root causes and you can replace your deficiencies and you can remove your toxicities, well, then the body gets healthy. And a healthy body cannot have disease. All right, let's get into the first question. I just opened up my big Word document here for my team. Of course, it's on a Mac, so it's pages, but I digress. First one's from Anonymous, and it says, hello, I'm sure you've had clients before who have not got the results from the detox and CBO they expected. I just finished with the CBO and have been taking the CBO finisher for 10 days now, but I got a yeast infection in the vaginal area. I think I've had it for so long a time now. And in the last month of the CBO, it got worse. The smell is very pungent and overwhelming, and there's a lot of itching in the area. On some days, it gets worse, and I get UTI pain. It's very frustrating because I thought I would be feeling a lot better, but it's still the same. Skin rashes, fibromyalgia symptoms, RA, anxiety, chronic pain, bloating, etc. What would you recommend? Thanks so much. I trust your advice over anything. Yeah, happy to help. And although it's not common, it does happen, right? Every once in a while it does happen. This is also why I can't recommend enough working directly with a practitioner. Typically, an integrative health practitioner level 2 or a naturopathic doctor. Those are the people that I know can help you the most because they can run the advanced lab tests, because we want to make sure, Anonymous, that there's not a parasite, right? We want to make sure that there is not overall autonomic nervous system dysfunction. We want to look at heavy metals. We want to look at other things besides the digestive system. But that's for the RA, the anxiety, because remember, anxiety, your psychology can absolutely affect your physiology and your immune system. And so the autoimmune issues probably are not going to get completely better until we calm the mind as well. Now, it kind of goes hand in hand, right? Because if you're feeling better, you might be less anxious. And if you were less anxious, then there'd be less stress in the autonomic nervous system. I get it. I was there myself. So I totally understand. This doesn't happen overnight. Now, the urinary tract infection is worth us talking about and exploring, because yes, oftentimes you do the CBO protocol and that clears all these things up. But we have to remember that the yeast infection can also be local, meaning it can be vaginal only and not gut-based. So it's not that you didn't do the work for your gut, you did, but it can also be vaginal-based. So you can work with your integrative health practitioner, level 2, or local naturopathic doctor, et cetera. Or you can look into some of the things that we've talked about before that work phenomenal in our community, like the boric acid suppositories or the garlic bulb suppository, followed up by something like a lactobacillus acidophilus-based vaginal suppository as well, to kill whatever the yeast or bacteria is locally and then replenish the vaginal flora with a lactobacillus lower pH bacteria. Because the reason why yeast infections and urinary tract infections can be caused is from a higher pH in the local vaginal flora. And if that happens, it allows for bacteria then to grow. Okay, so really important that we look into this as well, and hopefully that gets you started, all right? So then I want you to look for additional issues as well, and do not neglect on the de-stress protocol, right? I've got 8 parts to that: the emotions, stress, and the success mindset, okay? All right, Eric is up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. I wanted your advice on an issue I've been having for 5 years now. I've this dizziness that is constantly there, rocking on a boat, and gets worse under stress. I'm seeing a naturopathic doctor currently that tried increasing my potassium, but it didn't help. I also checked on my upper cervical spine, and that's fine. My ENT suspects it has something to do with my central nervous system based on her tests. Knowing that info, what would you do? I did all the big 5s, and I have SIBO, H. pylori, 2 high and 2 low minerals, high cortisol, DHEA, testosterone, estrogen dominance, high mold, viral issues. Also had chronic Lyme in the past. I feel like I keep cycling with doing this functional medicine work to no avail. I've improved a lot, but the dizziness hasn't gotten better. Would love your thoughts. Yeah, but you're doing the work. I understand that sometimes it's not easy. I totally get it. I understand. To a degree, all of your practitioners seem right. Absolutely, I would say it's a central nervous system issue. The central nervous system affects your autonomic nervous system, which is your fight or flight. Fight or flight is going to throw off your calcium and your sodium levels, as well as potentially deplete your magnesium and your potassium. Your ND tried to work on one electrolyte. I don't typically always see potassium being the one, since a lot of people who get dizzy have what's called autonomic nervous system dysfunction. I would love you to look up my previous podcasts on this. I've talked a lot about autonomic nervous system dysfunction, along with myalgic encephalomyelitis. Okay. If you have high levels of cortisol, we're definitely looking at a central nervous system issue, right? You have high levels of fight or flight, high levels of sympathetic nervous system dominance. So yes, you can start to supplement with different electrolytes, but really what we need to do is calm your central nervous system to start. Absolutely. So it's not that you're not on the right track, you are, but we need to then start, and I can't give you recommendations like over a podcast. It's not going to help. But you would look to, how do I calm my central nervous system? Things like adrenal soothe, things like full spectrum magnesium, things like melatonin before bed or the sleep help support protocol to recalibrate the diphasic rhythm of your body, right? Or the circadian rhythm. But I can't say that magnesium is right for you. Maybe CalMag is better with some magnesium because I don't know what your labs look like, all right? So that's the place to get started, but you're on the right track. Like there's no doubt about it. Now it's only a matter of time. I had POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I had dizziness all the time. I get it. I understand. I'm no longer dizzy. You won't be either. All right. Kim's up next. Is there a podcast discussing eosinophilic esophagitis? Easy for me to say. Yes, there is. Is there a podcast that discusses the difference between green tea and green tea extract? No, there's not. And green tea extract and possible liver damage. All right. So there's lots of shows on eosinophilic esophagitis. Basically, it's inflammation from more of the Th2 dominant side of the immune system in your esophagus. Check out my shows on histamines, cytokines, and eosinophilic esophagitis. If you can't find the shows at stephencabral.com/podcast, just type it in the search box. Ask at cabralsupportgroup.com. We'll find them for you. All right, let's go to green tea, though, and green tea extract. Green tea, there's honestly, for most people, you could have 3 to 4 cups a day. There's like really not an upper limit. And what you get is the EGCG, right? A lot of that amazing, powerful antioxidant. However, it also does help with detoxification. And the liver just so happens to be the main detoxification organ of the body. You could argue the skin is as well, but then I would argue that nobody sweats anymore, so that the skin is almost useless. So yes, if you do really high dosages of EGCG, which is green tea extract, or green tea extract in general, which is typically, though, the EGCG, it could not cause liver damage, but liver inflammation. Possible. It's possible. You'd have to do quite a bit of it, but everybody's unique, right? Everybody's a little more sensitive or less sensitive to certain products. So typically, you wouldn't want to use green tea extract at high dosages for a long period of time. You could do a little bit of EGCG every day. Like most people have no issue with that whatsoever. But it's like, this is what I talked about. I talked about it on Thursday's show. I don't believe in high dose supplements for long periods of time. Short term, yeah, you may need it for specific viral issues, Lyme, parasites, etc. But for long term, if you took a green tea extract, think of it this way, and it was the equivalent to 20 cups of green tea, excuse me, do you think that would be a good idea? I just don't. I don't think it would be good to probably take the equivalent to 20 cups of green tea. So that's kind of how I look at it, all right? Hopefully that was helpful, Kim. All right, Laura's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I've been noticing either soy or sunflower lecithin in lots of products. Are these to stay away from, or are they okay? And is the sunflower lecithin better than soy for someone with imbalanced hormones and doesn't consume soy otherwise for that reason? It's a great question. So what I want to share with you is that most of these nutritional supplements that say sunflower lecithin or they say soy have almost no to none soy, to none. I don't know if I can say that, but no soy at all. Let me give you an example. So for a product like Adrenal Soothe, it is used by thousands of practitioners around the world. I use it obviously in my practice. It's formulated by Equilife. You can find all these products and labs, by the way, at stephencabral.com/shop. If you're new to the show, it'll send you to Equilife and you can search them all you'd like. Then you can look at all the ingredients. There's an ingredient called phosphatidylserine. All right, phosphatidylserine is one of the, if not the most important herb or extract that we know about for helping with Alzheimer's, high levels of cortisol, like our friend, who did we just talk with? Erica, right? Was it Erica? No, it was Anonymous. For the high levels of stress, et cetera. Okay, let me just get to the point. Phosphatidylserine is extracted from soy. So technically there's soy in that product, but there's actually not. Like there's no soy. Inside of soy is a nutrient called phosphatidylserine, and that's extracted out of the soy. But you have to write, again, if you follow FDA regulations, which we do, you have to say this product contains soy. Although there's no soy in it. If you were to basically turn the product to an ash, all you would find is phosphatidylserine as one of those nutrients and no sign of soy, right? No soy protein, none of those things. Anyway, I digress. The same is true with a lot of the sunflower lecithin. Sunflower lecithin, now I don't use it a lot in my practice, but I've used it and it can be tremendous for high levels of cholesterol or meaning oxidized cholesterol, cardiovascular issues, brain function, overall skin health. Some women use it to promote better breastfeeding. It can lower stress levels in some people. So you have to think of it this way. Am I a huge advocate of, these things as maybe oils? No, I would never use soy oil. I don't really recommend soy-based foods, maybe to postmenopausal women 2 to 3 times a week from a non-GMO, soy, maybe like a non-GMO fermented tofu. Okay. But for the most part, no, I'm not recommending them in big amounts. I have no problem with sunflowers as the seed whatsoever. But when you turn it into an oxidized oil, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. But think about it. What you're using is like a speck of a teaspoon. You're not getting all of these oxidized omega-6s that, unfortunately social media influencers like to go around in the grocery food stores and show all these foods. Look, this contains this, and this contains this, and this contains natural flavors, and they're somehow doing good for the world. And I'm not trying to, again, throw any shade on anybody, but they have no idea what they're talking about. Not even a little bit. And it's frustrating because then as a practitioner, it just confuses people to how then they can actually get helped, because they're going around saying the whole sky, the whole world is falling and there's nothing that you can do and everything that is out there is bad for you. Okay, how's that helping anybody? Well, they're not a practitioner, so they can do it and then leave everybody else to clean up their mess. And it's unfortunate. And if you're a practitioner, I hope, especially if you're an IHP, that you are promoting what works instead of telling everybody everything that doesn't work, right? It doesn't help anybody. So again, I apologize if I offended anyone, but you have to speak the truth. And that is the truth, that people are just more confused than ever. And honestly, I blame it on most, experts on social media. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. I'm take a deep breath. I'm centered. I'm good to go. All right, Heather's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to answer our questions. I did the CBO protocol, followed by the CBO finisher and the heavy metal detox. And I was hoping that I would get rid of my Blepharitis and my Tinea Versicolor. Although I got many great results, I still have issues with Blepharitis and Tinea. Do you know why that is? What else I could do to get rid of them? I've battled with them for a very long time. Thank you. Yeah, happy to help with this as well. So yeah, again, I totally get it. Every once in a while that people aren't getting the exact thing they want. But also, I just have to be adamant about this. If you're working with a healthcare practitioner, please see them once a month. That's it. 1 hour a month, or even a half hour a month. You have to do your follow-ups to make sure that they are tweaking the plan as you go along. Because blepharitis is basically inflammation of the eye, right? That's what we're talking about. There's no one specific cause that we are looking for in terms of blepharitis. But we know that they're itchy. We know that they're red. We know that they can get swollen. We know they can kind of build up little crust on them. And 100 out of 100 times, it is linked to inflammation. And that inflammation is presenting itself now in the eye. There can be lack of antioxidants. There can be viral issues, Epstein-Barr virus. There could be mold. There could be like lots of issues, right? That are the problem. So blepharitis is basically a symptom. Your body's showing you in the outside, hey, we've got some issues here. We've got unchanged inflammation. Inflammation still present in the body. Now, sometimes, again, I can't give you medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. It can be topical. Like I probably believe right now that the Tinea Versicolor that you may have, well, I shouldn't say that. All right, there's a bunch of different ways to look at this. I could do many shows on it. The blepharitis, you might want to use an eye drop. I can't give you this. I'm not giving this as medical advice. But if it was me, I would be doing a couple drops or a couple sprays of colloidal silver in my eye. And I'd probably be doing that twice a day, maybe 3 times. And I'd probably do that for 1 week. And then I would see if that helped, if there was a local, I can't say infection, but if there was a local imbalance in the eye, okay? All right, now for the Tinea Versicolor. This one's a little bit different. This is typically fungal related, but it can be local to the skin and nails, all right? So this I now want to work topically. If we know we help the gut, what I want to make sure now is that we help also the skin. So typically, people with this will end up with little white spots along their arms or their skin, often regarded as an autoimmune issue, sometimes. Sometimes it's come about with like bites from like no-see-ums, mosquitoes, etc. And then all of a sudden, there now seems to be tiny versicolor, these discolored patches on the skin, typically lighter than your skin color, causing issues. Sometimes it's a reaction to the sun. People go out in the sun, they start to get more and more sun exposure, and they start to get these small patches. And then when they don't get as much sun, the patches go away. That doesn't have to do specifically with gut-based issues. I just want to state that. Like I just want everybody to know, sometimes there can be localized things. There's definitely inflammation most likely going on in this body right now. We want to continue, if you haven't run your Big 5, you run your Big 5 and you figure out how do my omega-3s look? How do my B vitamins look? How does my detox look? Have I done a 21-day functional medicine detox? Have we gone through the things? And you may have, which is great. So then we're going to work on the skin specifically. We may use something like apple cider vinegar as a toner after you get out of the shower or before bed if you don't like the smell of it. Then when that dries, we might use something like coconut oil with a couple drops of maybe tea tree oil, which can help kill fungus and other issues on the skin as well. Olive oil can work if you don't like the greasiness of coconut oil, but coconut oil is naturally antifungal, antimicrobial, and you can just rub it in very, very easily as well. So those are just a couple things, but again, I do recommend that you work with an integrative health practitioner or a local functional medicine doctor if you like doing something in person for best results, to be able to tweak your program and protocol, okay? All right, we're gonna keep it at that for today. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. I thank you. We got a lot done, and I'm gonna be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.